My name is Alison Bell, and I want to talk to you today about how to get your church to grow. Most of the information that I have is my main source anyway. Primary source has been Rick Warren's book, The Purpose Driven Church. Here it is here, Purpose Driven Church. And second to that, I've also used the Bible. I read the Bible a lot, so I have quite a lot of biblical knowledge, I think, of the verses and things. I use my iPod and I listen to it a lot through that. So let's get started then. So Rick Warren, his strategy is based on nurturing the existing church initially, which is warmer through fellowship. That means spending time together. I don't know if you know the story. I read a story about a long time ago about a piece of coal. If you take a piece of coal out of the fire, it goes cold very quickly, but if you leave it in the fire, even though the bit coal's finished, it just keeps warm anyway with the other ones. So it's good to have a lot of people around about you that are Christians. Definitely helps you to keep your faith strong and to motivate you to continue in your Christian walk and to help you to grow as well. And which leads on to deeper through discipleship. We become stronger Christians through reading our Bible and getting somebody to mentor us, somebody else in the church that you can see that's a bit older than you usually, but not always older. If you can pick somebody that you think will help you in your walk and ask them to guide you and to mentor you in becoming a disciple of Jesus, and stronger through worship as well. The more that you worship and spend time with God in prayer and praise and just all the time that you spend talking to God and listening to God makes your faith stronger, makes you grow closer to God. It's like any relationship, you have to spend time with the person and get to know them in order to understand them and to love them more. And broader through ministry, that's just all the different kinds of ministry that you can do. There's so many different things that you can do within a church as a profession. You can do it as a profession, and you can also do it just as part of the body of the church and the priesthood of all believers. That's what it says in the Bible, that we're all part of the church as a body as well. We're all a member, like a hand or a foot or an eye or whatever we're gifted in. We'll explain that more later. And larger through evangelism, it says in the Bible to go out into all the world and preach the good news, making disciples of all men. And I think that it's important if we can understand. I think the more you love Jesus, the more you want to do that. I think it becomes natural. The more you love Jesus and spend time worshipping and doing all the other things that I've mentioned, the other four, the last one tends to fall into place, and you just have that burden to tell everyone. It's like if you had a cure for cancer, you would tell everyone, wouldn't you, if you that had cancer. So I mean, you know that the people are going to hell if they don't find salvation, so it makes you want to tell them so that they get an opportunity to hear the gospel message. So we need to try and meet the diverse needs of the people in the community, and the way to meet the diverse needs of the people in the community is to fulfill the basic needs that they have, which are spiritually, emotionally, physically and socially. I think they're pretty self-explanatory. If we can try and meet the needs of the people, then we're more likely to get them to want to come along to the church. And so where did I start? I started doing youth work, not from my choice, but really because there wasn't somebody to do the youth work. So I really just stepped in to try and fill a gap while somebody had shingles and wasn't able to do the youth work. And as I did it, there was three youth at the group, then 6 came the week after, and then I think there was about 10 or 12 came, and then we stopped trying to push them to bring their friends, then realised that really it wasn't really fair on them to have pressure on them to bring their friends. So what we did instead was we just told them that really we wanted to focus on the 12 that we had, the 12 disciples, or what Jesus had to start with, and we were just going to start with that 12, and we were going to get them to be the core group and the disciples. And so that's what we did. We started off with the 12, and we asked them what they thought was a good night for them and the youth, what they would like to do. And so we did lots of crazy things, like we got all these books. I didn't have any training in it, so I went and got loads of books and went on training courses and things and how to do youth work. And we made crazy things like a massive banana split with a piece of roof guttering, a new piece of roof guttering that somebody bought for us in the church. And we just made a massive banana split, and then we let everybody, the deacons came and ate it, and all of us ate it as well. And we had about 50 at that point. It wasn't just 12. The group grew. And so it wasn't so bad because it was like the size. It was probably about 20 or 30 feet long. It was massive, and it cost a fortune to do it. But we just contributed that as part of our faith, and as part of our giving to the church. We just did it anyway. We had loads of money at that time. So lots of things like that, lots of fun things. I think fun, if people are having fun and if they laugh, there's I don't know if you've heard of Tony Campolo. Tony Campolo's a Christian psychologist, and he thinks if you make people laugh, they're more willing to accept the gospel message. So we just used to have loads of fun with the young people, and then we would give them the message at the end of the night. Christian message, and sometimes we did stronger evenings where they were like it was a Bible study sort of really, but there was games breaking it up, just so that it was fast moving, because young people don't like to sit about all the time. They like to be a fast moving thing. So we used to have like loads of different rooms and different things, different rooms. When we first did it, it was in our home. We ran it in our home, and it was good fun. We really enjoyed it. The young people were brilliant. We learned more from it, I think, than they did. We enjoyed it as much as they did. We were reliving our childhood as well. So it was good fun, and I really enjoyed doing the work. They brought their friends, and the group grew and grew, and then we had like a secular group, and we had which was for the people that didn't normally go to church. So it was just like fun and games, like a pool table and football and stuff like that. And then we had a nurture group, which was for the core people that were would study their Bible, and so they went after school to somebody else's house. And then we had like the youth fellowship, which was the in between the secular and the Bible study thing. But most of the ones that went to both of them came to us as well. And we did all sorts of things in the summertime. We did wet and wild things, and we which was like I don't know if you've ever heard of Opportunity. Not Opportunity Knocks. It's what was it called? Can't think what it was called now. It was one of these wet and wild sort of games anyway, and I think they call it gladiators now and things like that. Anyway, we did like that out at a farm. We got or a house that had a big piece of land anyway, and we put tarpaulins down, and they put slidey stuff on it, like Fair Liquid and water and some oil and stuff. And then the kids played football in it, and they balanced on it, and they did obstacle things over it and stuff. And it was just really a fun time. They had hats on their head with knit needles on them, and to burst water balloons that were hanging above them on it from between trees. There was an orchard there, and so we did silly things like that, and they just really had a good laugh. And then we had a barbecue at the end, and we did things like that in the summertime to get them to move up from the Sunday school type of thing to was to introduce them to the youth fellowship. We just called it YF. We didn't call it youth fellowship because then nobody knew what it was if it was called YF. So that was really why we did that. But it was really youth fellowship, and the young people would come along in the summer and would do all these crazy things in the summer, just so that they could get to know the new people, and the new people could feel they belonged. We'd give them buddies if they were there for their first time. We would pair them off with a buddy that would look after them for the evening and help them to integrate into the group. And we had people that weren't really up front. We trained all the young people to become youth leaders. They all had some sort of gift, and there was only one, I think, that did cards and things like that, because you didn't really like to do the upfront things. But the rest of them, they all became youth. They were apprentices first, and then became youth leaders, and gradually learned to do the whole thing, and then went off to university and did Christian Union groups and things like that. So they worked quite well at doing the things, and we had a great time. Really enjoyed it. So from that, the church decided that they would do the same sort of thing throughout the whole church. They would copy that principle to integrate them in at the summer by having a move up sort of thing to make the kids feel special. So every group, from the toddlers, we got groups for every age, from the toddlers right through the whole church to the leaving the church and going to university or work or whatever. And so the whole time, going to another area, not necessarily leaving the church, but going to another area and going to a church there. And there's very few that fell by the wayside. We used to have follow-ups and things that reunions to try and get the ones back that fell away and things. And if somebody missed a week, we would send them a postcard that said, "Hello, we missed you," a funny frog doing a dance on the front of it. And we had people that looked after that. We just sort of told people who was missing. We asked the young people, and they all knew who it was that wasn't there and things, because they had brought their friends, so they knew which ones weren't there. So it worked really well. They all had a role to play, and they all had a part to play, and they all felt important because they all had a role, and they just grew in their faith and grew in their understanding of God. And we went to as many secular places where they had Christian events, so there would be like Christian speakers. PowerPoint was one of the things that was called, was Oasis thing, or I don't think it was Oasis at the time, I think it was Steve Chalk, but I think it was British Youth for Christ, and various other people had got together and formed this alliance that presented youth presentations for young people. So we used to take our young people to in a minibus that we borrowed from the council. You can get a free minibus from the council as long as it's for community work, and some of them had to be non-Christians, but we had lots that were non-Christians that had just come in off the street and things. So we knew that we were okay for doing that, and we used to use the community bus and go down to Glasgow. We lived in Perth. We'd go down to Glasgow or to Edinburgh to which was about 45 miles away, 55 miles away, depending which one we went to. And we just went to as many rally things as we could, so that they could see that there was loads of other Christians, and they grew in their faith and committed their lives, many of them. So it was quite a encouraging time for us, and the church just grew and grew. So didn't have a building at first, and then we got a massive building up at, we built a building up at the western edge, and then we extended that and got a sports hall, and then we extended it again to make the sanctuary bigger, and had 2 services on a Sunday, and the church just grew and grew. So I think it worked well. It was Charles Young was there. It was Ken Jefferson at first. Was the minister who took it through into the new building and the start of the youth group, and then Charles Young came later on. When Ken left and went to South Africa. So the next slide I've got is who can do it. I don't know if you've ever had a dream. I'm sure you've had some sort of dream in some time in your life, but I always think about can't seem to remember things at the moment. I don't know why that is. Martin Luther King had did this sermon on I have a dream, and I always think about it all the time. I have a dream for a better world, for a better place where people can come to a church that they will feel they belong in and feel it's part of them, and that will be their home. And so I challenge you to dare to dream and to believe that God will equip you, because we had no experience with young people, and God just really helped us. I think if you're in a desperate situation and you have to reach up to God, then God is there and supplies your need. But it's only when you realise that and you have to depend on God that happens. And it became a pattern for us, and now I do it all the time. I just totally depend on God all the time for everything. And maybe that's not a good thing in your eyes, but it works well for me, and it worked well for the young people as well. So I dare you to dream that God will equip you in whatever you have to do. So Shape Up is one of the things that Rick Warren does. He thinks that we have to take care of these things in our lives and in the members' lives of the church in order to ensure that people are living fulfilled and happy lives, and that they are growing in their faith. And so the spiritual gifts that we have been given by God, we need to be using them, and we need to have a heart for God, and our abilities need to be used with our personality and our experiences. All of these make us who we are, and this is Rick Warren's view, and I think it's quite good what he says about all these things, but this is just a quick run through of things that I thought were important. So that's one of the things. And the other view that I have is shape up, as in you have within you all the necessary qualities for success. That's something that Zig Ziglar says. Zig Ziglar's an American motivator and Christian, but he also deals with businesses as well. And it was interesting that he said on one of his courses that the people that are non-Christians that are made to go along to a prayer cell in the morning, or a chat group in the morning, if they don't want to pray, if they just want to sit and listen, that's fine, and chat about things that they're going to be doing that day and things that they might need help with, and that the production of the people is 90% more, and that's quite a bit, isn't it? Quite a high percentage. That people would be 90% more productive if they went along to something like that. And Zig Ziglar's quote that I've said there was just really a means in for me to say the gifts that God has given us. God's given us the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And in Galatians 5:22, it has a list of all the different gifts. They're love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And then I thought of some other ones that a lot of us have, that if you don't think you've got any of these ones yet, you may only have one of them or two, but as you grow you get more of them. And you might have these other things, like you might be a reliable person or honest, or encouraging of other people, have a good sense of humour, good timekeeper, have a lot of biblical knowledge. You might be able to be a good prayer. I think we can all pray, and no prayer is better than anybody else, you know. It's between you and God at the end of the day. Self-discipline. We can be self-disciplined to read our Bible every day and do a daily reading. Compassionate to others, and empathy, helping others. If we've been through something, there's usually a purpose in what's happened to us, and we can usually help someone else through that difficult time if they have a similar experience. I had an experience like that with one of the young people at the church. Two of the young girls went down the town, and they were jumped, and one of the girls was raped. So I was able to help, just to write a letter and say that I understood what they were going through and things, and how difficult it was, and just to try and help them. And I think that things do happen to us so that we can help others. So be positive of something. If you've been through a really difficult trial, there's usually a purpose in it, and all good can come out of all things, even though it doesn't seem like it at the time how horrific it is, you know. You can be a good reader, you can be a preacher, you can be good at music in a band player, or you can be just good at worshiping the Lord, you know, at singing along and joining in, and a comforter, somebody that can hug somebody, and I'm sure you can think of many more. There's so many gifts that all of the people in the church have, and I think the thing is to get everybody involved with having their gift utilised to the maximum potential for the benefit of God's kingdom. So another thing that I've studied a couple of degrees. The first degree that I did, I think it was, I studied a guy called Ninian Smart, and in his book The Religious Experience of Mankind, he thought that our view of religion is shaped by our background, our knowledge of the Bible, tradition and culture, and our experiences. So we are all unique to serve, and we're all able to serve, and your shape fits perfectly for doing God's work. So the next thing I've got is about developing what God has given us. So all the gifts that God's given us, we need to develop them and see the bigger picture. And vision is the ability to see the opportunities within your current circumstances. If we can just stand back and observe for a second or two when we go into church and things, and see the people that are standing on their own, see the people that are needing some help, see the people that might be struggling with something, and just go and help them, because God has a plan and of a hope and a purpose of good and not evil for all people, hope and a future. I think that it's good to be able to see what opportunities we can serve and help people. Diversity in style is a strength, not a weakness. A lot of people have different views about worship and things like that, and different views about praying, and whether they should put their hands up or whether they should not, or whether they should clap. I remember coming across somebody once that said to me, if you clap, you're devil worshipping. I had to laugh at him. I couldn't quite believe that she said it. But anyway, we all have our own views, and if we didn't have our own views based on our backgrounds and our experience and our culture and everything, then we wouldn't be different. We're all unique, and so we just have to accommodate that other people are not us, and that they have their own views, and that's okay. It's okay to have diversity. Diversity in style is a strength and not a weakness. So what shape are we, and have you got any idea of what sort of things you're gifted in? I did a talk on spiritual gifting and spirituality at the church where we did your own youth training courses and things like that for the young people and the leaders. It was about 20 leaders when we left, so we had constant training and going to places where we would have weekends away and things like that with the young people, just to keep everybody motivated, team building. We used to have them round at our house all the time. And a lot of the time it was just to collect books and to or round for a meal or whatever. So at the bottom of there I've got, I don't know if you can read it, but it says, do we need more cake? And the reason that I'm thinking about that, is because I've been talking about shape all the time, and shape is quite important to us, isn't it? And sometimes if you have lots of sweet things in the house, then the young people like it. They like having sweets, they like having cake and stuff like that. But you have to sort of think of their health as well. And nowadays it's a bit different. So we have to try and focus on being healthy too. But a little bit of cake or things like that is quite good. Since I'm speaking about cake anyway, the next slide I've got is everybody likes cake, so what I've got is some of these are Rick Warren's, and then I've put my money at the bottom because that wasn't really on the list, but I thought it was quite important to include money and things in it, because the things that we need to be considering within a church is for the shape of the church is that we have to be shaped in a way that we are God's purpose to live for, that we have God's purpose to live for, that's mission, and that we have God's people to live with, which is the membership of the church, and we have God's principles to live by in the Bible, to grow as Christians and become mature Christians, God's profession to live with, to live out, and that's the ministry, and God's power to live on, to magnify God and glorify God, and I've put and God's money anyway, so it's God's, everything's God's at the end of the day, so we just have to give back to Him what is His. It says in the Bible to render to Caesar what is Caesar's. Well, I guess we should render to God what is God's, and everything we have and everything that we are is God's, really. When we've given our life to God, that's the way I look at it anyway, and I think that we have to try and live in a way that will glorify Him and give Him all the honour, which leads me to worship, glorifying and giving honour to God is easiest when we're worshipping Him, I think, and when we're singing His praises and thanking Him for everything that He's done for us. So I think in worship as well, it's important to think about that when we go to worship, this is another thing that, well, it's similar to the diversity of the church, that everything can be different, and people can have different styles and things, but we should be going to worship God and focusing on God and not looking to get what we can get out of it, and not thinking, oh well, I don't like that kind of style or this or that. I prefer if it's this way and things, because I find that no matter what song it is, no matter which hymn we're singing or song, whatever you want to call it, I always find that there's something in the song that's worth saying to God. If you read the words, even if the music's not to your taste, the words will communicate effectively to you what you should be saying to God and what God wants from you. So then I've got focusing on God and not allowing the other things to distract you is really just what I've been describing just now. And loving one another is very important, that we love one another and don't allow anything to break that bond of God's love. So I've got a song here. It's Ed Sheeran, I'm in love with the shape of you, but it's a Christian version of it. So see if you like it. I'll just say a prayer to close, if I may. Lord Jesus, I just ask you to fill all the people that are watching this video and just equip them, Lord. Prepare the way ahead that they will be able to reach people for you, evangelise to them, and bring them into your church. That your church will be grown and your people will be coming home, that you won't have to wait for them anymore. I thank you, Lord, for equipping me and helping me in everything that I do, that I might glorify your name. I ask all this in the name of Jesus.